back to my channel. If this is your very first time visiting my channel, my name is Amber and I call all my subscribers my cousins. Really, it's because I'm from the South, Birmingham, Alabama, but now I'm in Palm Springs, California, and guess what? Y'all still my cousins. Recently on my Instagram, I just asked you guys, like, what content are you guys looking forward to seeing? What content do you want to see? Video requests, everything like that. The most asked question for this particular poll was, can you give us an update on going full-time with your YouTube? A lot of people, the first time they had heard that I had gone full-time with my YouTube was when I announced I had moved to California, which is kind of crazy because I already had a video kind of breaking down that maybe a month after I decided to quit my full-time job. I'll link that video because it's more of like a chit chat video, but you know, if people see that you have a wig on in the video, y'all won't click it, and it's like, y'all be missing good tea, honey. They'll be the real chit chats that I can give y'all because I ain't gotta focus so hard on making sure that my curls are popping. Like, I can throw this wig on, put this makeup on, and serve y'all the tea. So y'all don't need to skip over those videos because 9 times out of 10 I always say something in those videos, chit chat or life related, that don't make it into my natural hair tutorials because the natural hair tutorials are all about the natural hair. This is 6 months later. Well, not even 6, not 6 months yet. Like 5.5 months later after quitting my 9 to 5. I decided that along with giving you guys an update, I wanted to give you guys 7 things that definitely happen when you decide to quit your job before going full-time to YouTube. So I know that I have a lot of new cousins. What's up, cousins? If you're watching this video and you don't know what a cousin is, you're not sure if you're a cousin, then you're probably not. That's okay. I'm not judging you. You know, real players slip up. Check right below me and make sure that you are not only subscribed to my channel, but also make sure that your notifications are turned on because YouTube has been turning them off, honey. When your notifications are turned on, you're part of a special elite group called the First Cousins, and hashtag First Cousins. When you get your notification, comment under the video, shout you out, and I do random giveaways. So, honey, I don't announce them. I see somebody who's in the First Cousin gang all the time. I see you popping up. I see you supporting. I be wanting to send my cousins care packages, okay? I just want to break down the whole process of the transition into being a full-time content creator because there are so many misconceptions out there. There are so many, I feel like, false conceptions, not even misconceptions. Like, I consider a misconception just something that you don't understand. And then there's false conceptions, which is just like people just choose to believe what they want to believe, and it's like, it's not even like that. So first and foremost, I do have a degree. I graduated from the illustrious Auburn University in Auburn, Alabama. War Eagle, don't come on my channel talking that other stuff. It's officially football season, honey. I graduated from Auburn, Alabama with a degree in kinesiology. If you don't know what kinesiology is, it is basically just an umbrella major, or like in school, like you're in certain colleges, like the College of Science, the College of Nursing, the College of Biology. Kinesiology is a major under the College of Science, so I have a Bachelor of Science. And under kinesiology, what I liked about it is that you can go under a number of different fields. A lot of people feel like kinesiology is one of those degrees where you have to have a master's degree in order to work or make money, which is partially true. Usually, most people who have a degree in kinesiology go on to get a master's or either go on to go to PT school. I could work in my career field while I was pursuing higher education, which I did start grad school, and before I realized it just wasn't for me and I was spending all this money essentially on an education that I was doing for other people. A lot of you guys also may not know that I was an Orange Theory coach for about a year, and so you can do a lot of things in the physical fitness aspect, but you are not limited to just being like a PE teacher or coach or a personal trainer. Those are just things that you can do that greatly supplement your income, that are great like money makers while you work, like, which is what I did in the hospitals doing pulmonology, which is like lung testing and a lot of cardiac rehab, heart testing, post rehab and things like that. And I'm just gonna go ahead and say this is kind of a chit chat. Yes, there are 7 things that I'm gonna give you, but don't nobody rush me, okay? Don't rush me through this video. You guys saw how long the video was when you clicked it, so just have a little patience for your girl, or check the timestamps down below, okay? If you comment under this video talking about the video start at such and such, you just gonna get blocked because the video starts at 0.01. So one thing that I want to say, because when I did my whole California video, I knew it was going to be at least one person that would make this kind of comment. I was very blessed to, straight out of college, get a job in my degree field full-time. I worked in my degree field for about 3 years before I was blessed to be able to work for myself. The thing about having a degree, y'all, in this climate, in today's world where, because I feel like the more and more that we get further in the generations, the less and less each stage of education needed to live a like sustainable life is increased. Like when our grandparents were coming up, you know, a high school diploma was considered enough, and a lot of, you know, our grandparents didn't even have that. They started, or they had to start working and quit school before they could get their high school diploma. And nowadays it's like even that bachelor degree, you could be making a bachelor, you could have a bachelor's degree and they're still wanting to pay you the same as they're paying minimum wage other places. So with all that going on with our economy, like that's an economy thing. Sometimes I feel like people get so stuck on having to stick to one lane or sticking to the lane that you gave your degree in, because degrees are expensive, and that is the main reason why I decided that I wanted to put grad school on hold. But the money that you're spending and the money that you're investing, you want to make sure that you're doing it because you want to, okay? And people can feel how they feel about that, but the thing about a degree is it's always going to be there for you. And the thing about my degree, and the reason why I have the degree that I have, because if you've heard a little bit about my college story, I changed my majors 3 times to get to a degree that I loved, and that in a field that I loved. Like I say this on my Instagram all the time, I loved my job, like loved the field that I'm in, loved the last job that I worked at. I really liked it, like had no complaints other than the fact it could get a little boring sometimes, because I was essentially, I worked for somebody, but my bosses were, I was contracted out, so my bosses were in an entirely different state. So I pretty much was there working for myself. I didn't really answer to anybody unless I had questions, had my own office. So it did get a little boring sometimes when I wasn't seeing patients, but other than that, I really loved my job. One person who is now blocked kind of made the comment, oh, I thought you loved your degree, and you know, I just can't see how you're wasting your degree now. Basically insinuating that because I decided to go full-time and work for myself. I think people kind of miss that when somebody decides to do YouTube. Yes, YouTube is paying you, but you're working for yourself. A degree is something that you will have for the rest of your life. It is not something kind of like a certification where you have to stay in one state to use it, but that does not mean that you have to be a slave to your degree. So many times, and I already talked about this on Instagram, but so many times, because something took us a long time to accomplish it, or because something was difficult or it was challenging to accomplish, we feel like we are obligated to continue to almost be a slave to that. So because it took me a little bit longer than some people to get a degree, and because I worked so hard for a degree, some people feel like now I am just obligated to stick with that path. And yes, if I ever wanted to pick my degree up, I'm actually in California. California is the best place to have a kinesiology degree, but I also have been blessed to where I can work for myself. And I think we as, and I'm gonna just say this, y'all can feel a kind of way if you want to, but sometimes we as Black people are not as supportive of other Black people working for themselves. We have always been so conditioned to feel like, because we were deprived of that back in Jim Crow and in previous times, because we were deprived of the same kind of education that our white counterparts were getting. Black people hold degrees to such a high place and standard that if you decide to do anything other than that, it's almost like you throwing your life away. Never feel like just because you spend a lot of time doing something that you have to be a slave to it. At any given time in your life, if you want to change the direction of your life, change the direction of your life, because guess what? You only get one. There is no gold star that you get at the end of your life for only taking one path. If that is the choice that you choose to do, then that's great. I am happy for you that you found something that totally fulfilled you, that you wouldn't change, that you know what I'm saying, like you found that straight off the bat. But for 99% of people, that doesn't happen. People change the course of their lives, and we live a lot of different lives in one lifetime. Hopefully, you know what I'm saying, hopefully you grow and evolve to where when you look back on it, you're like, hey, I'm not the same person at 50 that I was at 20. You get what I'm saying? So I was somebody since the age of 14 who had been working. I had a job. My first job was Chuck E. Cheese, and since I worked at Chuck E. Cheese, I have not been without a job for more than like 3 months. And then actually from the age of 21 up until I quit my job, I always had 2 jobs. I had a full-time job, and then I would have a part-time job plus YouTube, which is considered a 3rd job. So I just want to take this time to not only speak to the people who are maybe looking at this to kind of give them confirmation on whether or not they should step out, but also talk to the people who are still working, like 9-to-5s, working day jobs, working the job in their career field, in their degree field. There is nothing wrong with working a 9-to-5, honey. I worked my 9-to-5 and I worked my YouTube, and there were times where I beat myself up because I feel like it has taken my channel so long to get to the place where other people who started off doing this full time, in your head you always over exaggerate things, but I feel like in my head it has taken me so long to get to a certain place where it's taken maybe other people who started out full time to get, just because you don't always have that time to dedicate to your content, to your channel. You have other obligations, other things to do. I was working 2 jobs plus a full-time student plus trying to do a YouTube, so you know, you get in where you fit in. But also never feel like if you decide that you want to go full-time with something that you haven't earned the right to do that. Okay, I'm off of my soapbox now. I promise I'm about to get started with these tips, but I just wanted to say that because I see certain comments that people make on both sides of the spectrum, and being somebody who is not so far away from it, like literally I'm 5.5 months off of working being a 9-to-5, because my hours were never 9-to-5, honey. But I'm like only 5.5 months away from it. I still feel like I have a great perspective on both. Everybody's definition of struggle in order to live their life on their terms. Remember, your terms will be different from every other person next to you. So everybody's definition of a struggle to live their life on their terms is going to be different. So now let's get started with the 7 things in no particular order that change when you decide to go YouTube full-time. Number 1, which is something that I have really been struggling with probably over the last 2 or 3 months or so, your work hours change. Like, the definition of work hours completely almost goes out of the window. Either one or two things are gonna happen. Because you don't have work hours, you are gonna kind of sit around all day and feel like, hey, I got all the time in the world to get done what I need to get done. That can happen, or what has been happening to me, you literally don't know when to turn it off. Like, there are no work hours. When you wake up, you are at your job. When you go to sleep, you are at your job. And I really have been thinking about just having a situation where I could just go to like a studio, like studio apartment or something, and that be like my workspace, my work area, my work job, just because at least I would feel like I was getting up, going somewhere, and doing something so where I could turn it off. Number two, which some people may be surprised by this, but if you've watched a couple of other YouTubers videos, then you may already know this. When you switch over to being a YouTuber, you go from getting a paycheck every 2 weeks usually from your job, or either you get paid, you know, what, like on the 1st and the 15th or something like that, depending on if you salary or whatever. But you go from doing that to getting one paycheck a month. Now, of course, this isn't including like your outside contracts, like if people contract you, if you get sponsorships, if you get like ad or promo deals and things like that. Now, I decided not to go full-time until I was secure, like that I was getting regular like sponsorship deals to supplement that. But just keep that in mind if you are somebody who is looking to go full-time, because your YouTube check again is going to fluctuate just depending on, you know, how well you did the month prior. So number three, which is maybe the most frustrating, well, one of two of the most frustrating out of the entire list that I'm going to name, is that people won't understand your job. I'm finding over here on the West Coast, which is why one of the reasons that I made the move that I did, people are more open to it, and especially the concept of being like a YouTuber or a videographer or a content creator, an influencer, a digital media content creator, however, you know, whatever fancy name you want to give to it, honey. And once you decide to go full-time with YouTube, you just have to understand YouTube has only been around, what, like 10 years? But it's just one of those things, like you'll tell people you're a YouTuber and they'll be like, what? But what, like, how do you make your money? And I'm like, I do YouTube. I've actually got to the point where I don't do all that. I don't feel the need. But back in the day, I did. I used to go through all the like extras trying to get people to understand what I did. And now I'm just kind of like, I'm a YouTuber. And they'll be like, what? And I'm like, yeah. And that's it. Like, I'm not gonna go into more explanation because it's just kind of like. Number four, the responsibility is all on you now. Whereas when you used to have a 9-to-5 job or a corporate job or, you know, retail, whatever kind of job you had where you were working for a larger company, there was a machine behind that company. If we're keeping it 100% honest, with those kind of jobs, all you have to do is show up, do your job right, and you get paid. Like if you're good at it, you get a promotion. If you're bad at it, you get fired. But all you have to do is show up on time, do your job right, and you get a paycheck. YouTube is not like that. You cannot, and I'm sure a lot of people, smaller YouTubers or people who are looking to get their YouTube channel up and going, can attest to this. The thing about YouTube is it's not about just showing up and being good at what you do and getting paid. Like, you could be really good at what you do, and unfortunately on YouTube, you know, a lot more goes into it. You have to promote yourself. You have to promote yourself constantly across platforms. There will be a period of time where you're still in the discovery phase. People are still trying to find out. People are skeptical. Most people these days will watch you at least 2 to 3 times before they actually commit to subscribing to you. They just kind of want to feel you out. Companies really want to work with a lot of people who have, you know, the audience there. That's what benefits them. So with YouTube, it is definitely, you know, it's harder because all the responsibility is on you, and it's not just about doing a good job, because unfortunately there are tons of people who are doing a good job, who are better than me at what I do, who are better than some of these other people who have hundreds of thousands, millions of subscribers, who are way more skilled at what they do. And in this business, skill alone is not going to get you there. Like, just showing up and putting a YouTube video out there is not going to get you there. There's a whole nother grind and level of patience that you have to have. Number 5, and this was the second one that I said can get very frustrating, and it's kind of similar to number 3, but people will not only not understand your job, they will diminish your job. And that, remember all those prayers and meditation mornings, and be secure in yourself. Because whether it's, again, it's ignorance or not understanding or envy or jealousy or whatever, I can't tell you how many times people have come up to me and said something like, girl, how your little YouTube channel doing? Your little YouTube channel, like your little. That's like me coming up to you and be like, how your little marriage doing? You know, I saw you got married. How that little thing? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, bruh, like, you don't come up to no doctor and be like, how that little surgery go? Like, bruh, like, people will diminish what you do just because it's fun, it's light, it's seemingly easy, but you have to continue to remind yourself that if it was a little accomplishment, if it was a little task, if it was easy to do, everybody would be doing it. And people can say, you know, oh, that's just not my thing, I'm not that person, my personality is not built for that, and that's fine. But again, so you're recognizing that this is something that not everybody can do. Not everybody is cut for it. Not everybody's personality type is built for it. Like, to put little in front of it, it's like, I got like 89K. That's little, like, and I was like kind of just used to people diminishing this, and I'm so appreciative of You Love Megs over here on YouTube. She was one of the girls who was also with Carol's daughter when we went to BeautyCon, and I was just sitting around this table full of influencers who had hundreds of thousands of more subscribers than I had, and I was so used to people just kind of diminishing my accomplishments. I was talking to the girls, and Megan was sitting right next to me, and I was like, oh, well, I only have, like, at the time I had like 85K, I think. And she stopped me. She was like, girl, wait a minute, I don't like when people do that. She's like, don't diminish yourself or your accomplishments like that. She's like, because if you filled a room with 85,000 people, that's not a little accomplishment. Even if you don't have 85K, even if you have 100 people subscribe to your channel, put 100 people in a room, they're here to hear what you have to say, they care about your opinion. Don't let anybody make you feel like they are working harder than you just because they are working differently than you. It is very similar but not the same, because I have so much respect for stay-at-home moms. Like, baby, I feel like that's one of the jobs, you know, don't nothing compare to, but it's one of the things where people kind of try to diminish the work that a stay-at-home mom does. Like, all she does is sit at home and watch TV, and you know, her kids just sit and look at her all day, and it's like, no. So I kind of like told like some negatives, you know what I'm saying? I don't want this whole list to be all negative. So my number 6 thing that changes when you decide to go full-time with YouTube is freedom. I know I just talked about like, oh, woe is me, so much work, it's so much this, but I'm gonna stop doing that. So many times I feel I don't know, guilty for living my best life. I feel guilty for being happy. I feel guilty for having a dope ass bomb ass job, when if anybody next to me, like my fellow sister, whether it's YouTube, whether it's business, whether it's corporate world, whether you bank teller Tasha, shout out to Insecure coming back last night. I am always happy for other people when they're living their best life on their terms. So I don't know why I always feel so guilty to just say I have a dope ass job, I worked hard to get here, you know, I want to sit in that, and I feel like I shouldn't feel guilty for that. I shouldn't, you know, feel defensive when people throw shade at me, because I feel like it, you know, it just is what it is. So, and last but not least, kind of leading into that, the last one, number 7, is that there is more time for creativity and for perfection. Now, I've always been or somewhat perfectionist when it came to my YouTube videos. I've always, like, even if the video is 3-4 minutes, at minimum it's gonna take me 6 hours to get it done. That's recording plus like editing time, and that's me like rushing it. I remember one time y'all thought my titty was out in the video, and it's like, y'all, there's no way y'all thought I stared at this video for 4 hours and my titty just sitting there and I ain't noticed it. It was like Tupac's face right here. There are periods of time where you have to determine if you want something, especially if you're working a 9 to 5, if you want something to be really perfect, or if you just want to get the work out. And there's a time and place for both, because sometimes, I don't know if this is just me, you can get so attached to perfection and be so anal about certain things that you will talk yourself out of putting content out, and that is just a combination of you being, you know, over perfectionist, and a combination of, I feel like, the enemy getting in your head. So there are times where you just have to force yourself, hey, I just need to get this out because I need to continue a routine, and I will make it better next time. But then there are also times where you're like, okay, I have the time, I had this creative vision in my mind, let's not rush it. You could just take the time to make it better and make better quality content, even if that means, you know, 100 less people gonna see it because you put it out at the wrong time, or put it out too early, or put it out too late. But you know that you're putting out great content. In the end, always better your craft. Obviously, when you go full-time for YouTube, I feel like that should be like your sole goal, like your sole goal. Just make your sole goal. A lot of times, I'm just gonna be honest, sometimes I'll promise that I'll get you guys out a video by a certain day, then that day comes and I'm just being honest with myself and I'm like, you know what, this video could look a lot better. I really need to shoot this scene over. I really need to spend more time editing this part and providing more detail on that. That's another reason why when people kind of diminish what I do, or you know, kind of try to like be funny, like I don't understand, you know, how she doing this. I let my work speak for itself. I let the quality of my content speak. I let my editing speak for itself. I let my work ethic speak for itself. So that's it, guys. Those are all 7 things that change when you become a YouTuber full-time. Plus, of course, my little rant in the beginning about being a full-timer. So if you're watching this and you're looking to go full-time and you have any other questions, leave it in the comment section. If not, I just want to tell you guys, God bless you on your journey, on your endeavors, on your content. You know, it's okay. Like, don't feel like you need to quit your job because everybody's quitting their job. Just because you have to understand, sometimes we are looking at people's middle and we're looking at and comparing it to our beginning. Comment, like, and subscribe. Don't forget to become my cousin, and I will see you guys in the next video.